At the end of the day, if you take a teacher who is 25 and incredibly bright and really committed to teaching, and you take a teacher who is 55, the way that we've actually structured our pension system, for example, is you get a great benefit after a certain period of time, but you kind of wait with low wages until you get there. That's not going to attract them. There has to be an honest discussion about a trade-off. A younger individual may want to come in and say, look, I want to make more money up front because I'd rather not go get an MBA, right? And I want to teach math in the class, and I want to do a great job, or I want to teach Latin. I did study Latin, by the way. I don't remember any, so I should have gone to you. So there's a question of trade-off in terms of what kind of people, and that's the theme I was trying to bring out first, the kinds of people we want to bring into the classroom. And that is probably more of an issue in inner city schools than it is maybe even here in Belmont, because you have great family support, it's a great school system. We need really highly qualified folks who are really passionate, will spend the extra time with the students. So there is an out-and-out trade-off up front. Second thing I'd just note, if I could get to, is we have to make it absolutely clear and absolutely fair for all employees. The way it's been working recently with, for example, the Retirement Plus, and that is something that the Retirement Plus change that was put into place. Jay, you probably remember this better than I do. I think it's 2000. Was that correct?
That's about right.
It's about right. Essentially what it did is it created great incentives for folks who are experienced teachers to leave the teaching profession. But the folks are actually paying for that with the younger teachers. That's not fair for them to do that. There has to be absolute transparency to all. I don't say you have to go to a 401k system, but we have to have a reporting system that is as clear as a 401k so you can see what you're putting into the system. And I think what that means is, and I think it goes back to one of the points that Representative Brownsberger was bringing up before, it could be a matter of, this is not simple, but it's theoretically simple, and that is prorating what your pensions are to what your salaries are to make that incredibly transparent. That would allow for us to ferret out all those additional benefits that are given to specific individuals or groups so you could hold down the cost of pensions quite a bit, I would think.
Before let Tom jump in, but Jim, if you go to, and I know from Winchester, because I was the editor there for many years, in Winchester, places like Winchester and Belmont, it's better for the older teachers to get out of the system because they make X amount of dollars and bring the younger teachers in. But the step and track system is such a way that that younger teacher really isn't going to get up unless they go and they get their bachelor's and then they get their master's and they spend a lot of summer studying and then they ratchet it up. But it's going to take them a while to get up to where you would normally want it to be. So how do you do that, say, on a micro level, as a Belmont or a Winchester level, to get the best and the brightest, but at the same time be able to afford to pay them, not 20 years from now when they get their master's degree and they've raised their, how do you do that?
Well, I think a couple of things. The way we've constructed the pension system is essentially, from the audience's perspective, you look at a hockey stick and it goes like this. And at 20 years it goes like this. Now, that tells anyone who's really ambitious in the teaching profession, and I don't mean ambitious in a bad way, I want to change this system. I want to improve it. I want to do something that's out of the norm. And I'm not saying that's always good, Tom. It's a disincentive to that person to actually try and, to exploit his or her ambitions. Because basically you need to stay in the system for a long period of time and then you get your benefits. We have to change that. It has to be much more linear. I think that's the first thing. The second thing is I would probably quarrel with the idea that it's always good to get rid of experienced teachers to bring in younger ones, even if they're bright and all the rest, because experience really matters. Mm-hmm. So I guess I would leave that to the individual teacher to say, I've had my share of teaching and probably I'm burnt out at this point because, I've got my grandkids and all that sort of stuff and I want to spend time with them teaching them. But I would leave that to the individual to really determine it, because I think they're the best person to